In this video, we're going to perform operations on signed fractions. Perform the indicated operations on the fractions and/or mixed numbers using your knowledge of signed numbers. So we've already learned about operations on fractions, and we've learned about operations on integers. So now we have signed numbers or signed fractions. They're not integers, but we're going to combine the sets of rules that we've learned, and they're going to apply to these different cases. So first we have 3/7 minus 2/3. Now here's the good news. You're just going to proceed like you would subtracting any two fractions. Okay? This may not look very different, but it turns out, which you may have noticed, 3/7 is smaller than 2/3. So when we subtract, we're actually going to get a negative answer. But you don't need to see that right away. You're just going to perform the operation like you normally would. So first, notice 7 and 3 have no common factors. So their least common denominator is the product divided by their greatest common factor, which is just 1, or 21. So I'm going to start by rewriting equivalent fractions for each of them with denominators of 21. So for 7, I need to multiply by 3 to get 21, and I also multiply the numerator. Now let's do the same thing for 2/3. We want to write it as something over 21. Okay, so I need to multiply by 7, and I get 14 over 21. So now an equivalent expression to this one is 9 over 21 minus 14 over 21. Okay, we subtract the numerators, 9 minus 14 over 21. Now 9 minus 14 is a negative number. Since 14 is larger, the difference between 9 and 14 is 5, and we're going to get a negative 5 since 14 is larger than 9. So we have negative 5 over 21. Now officially, when we write our final answer, negative 5 over 21 is the same as, so if we think of this as division, a negative over a positive, it's the same as 5 over negative 21, okay? But that doesn't look very nice either. So in general, we write it as a negative number, as negative 5 over 21. So you could think if you divided these two numbers, a positive divided by a negative is negative, so we put the negative out front. So our final answer, we put the negative out front, and it's negative 5 over 21. Let's look at the next example. Negative 2/5 plus 7/5. Okay, so notice we're adding here, and we're going to think of, which I automatically did, we're going to think of negative 2/5 as negative 2 over 5. That way they have a common denominator already. Now we can just add the numerators, negative 2 plus 7, keep the denominator. Well, negative 2 plus 7 is 5. Keep the denominator of 5, and our result is 1. Okay, so we don't have to rewrite that as a mixed number like we didn't with the last because it's a whole number. Okay, now finally let's look at this one. We have a negative number and we're subtracting a positive number. So just like if we had negative 2 minus 4, we might want to start, you don't have to, but it's nice to think of it this way, as changing this to adding the opposite of the second number. So this is equivalent to negative 2 plus negative 4. And remember, what we do in this case is we add the absolute values and we keep the sign of negative. So you can think of negative 2 as going 2 in the negative direction, then we're adding another 4 in the negative direction, which gives us 6 in the negative direction. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to start by rewriting this as addition, negative 2 and 2/5 plus negative 4 and 3/5. Okay. Now we have two options. Okay, we can combine the whole number parts and combine the mixed number parts, and the fractional parts, and then combine them all together. Or we can rewrite these as improper fractions to start. And let's go with that process just so we could see how it works. So here, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So this is negative 12/5 plus negative 5 times 4 is 20 plus 3 is 23. So now we have a common denominator, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to add the numerators, two negative numbers, negative 12 plus negative 23, and keep the denominator. Well, just like we did up here, a negative plus a negative is going to be negative. Combined 12 and 23 are 35, so this is negative 35 over 5. Now we'll divide and simplify. This will be a whole number. So negative 35 divided by 5 is 7, and a negative divided by a positive is negative.